Hello, this is Mahlena Ray Johnson with For Nerdy Girls with Mahlena Ray Johnson. And today we are talking about cramps. Yes, the PMS kind. Mahlena, that's me, explains how sharing your pain can bring you closer, closer to your people. Okay, so first, who am I? I'm Mahlena Ray Johnson, and I went to Loyola Marymount University for film school. I went to the University of Southern California for business school, where I got my MBA in marketing, entertainment, and entrepreneurship. And over the past 10 years, I have attended, what have I done? I've conducted hundreds of informational interviews and coffee chats. I have attended hundreds of networking events and conferences, and I have connected with thousands of people. So I'm immensely qualified to help you with your networking skills and with personal branding, which is something I'm figuring out how to tell people about and why it's important and what it means. So I'm still working on that in my noodle, but I could make a video about that. Okay, so what else am I supposed to say? I don't remember. Oh yeah, I'm an author. My fourth book, Love It a Luau, is out now, and it is a romance novel about a refugee suffering from PTSD who is scared to fall in love with a single dad. And today is May 9th, 2018. So today we're going to talk about cramps, the PMS kind. Earlier this week, so probably on Monday or Sunday sometime, I had cramps because I have PMS during the time before my period comes. And I thought about talking about this initially. I didn't have time earlier this week because so much was going on, but I wanted to talk about it because when it happened, and it happens every month because that's when ladies get periods, if they have, the stuff inside to have periods, and they're of a certain age. Periods are often not talked about, and the pain that goes through periods and just having women's issues, as if only 50% of the world has women's issues. They are so hidden and so not talked about, and that's one of the things. It's kind of a meta video that I'm doing, in the fact that I'm actually talking about the fact that I had cramps and why it's important to talk about your pain. So a lot of women often minimize their pain and don't talk about their period to anybody. And they especially don't talk about periods around men because men get all squirmy. And what happened specifically is that I woke up and my stomach was hurting, and I was like, oh, I'm having a cramp. And so I took my pain medicine, and I woke up my spouse and said, hey, I'm having cramps, and put his hand on my belly because that helps me. And so we were both asleep at the time. It was probably around midnight. And so he stayed with his hand on my belly until the cramps went away, which takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I felt better. And I didn't want to just hang out and try to deal with this myself like many people do. They don't want to bother anybody about their pain, but I have engaged in a marital situation with another human being who presumably cares about me and I care about him, and he actually wants to help. He's not someone who says, oh, I don't want to, oh, hi, Kadani. He doesn't say, oh, that's woman stuff, and you should just figure it out on your own. He says, how can I help you feel better? He actually says those words whenever I talk to him about cramps, and one of the ways he helps me feel better is to put his hand on my stomach. So there's so many women out there, and probably some men too, who don't want anybody to know that they're in pain or that something's happening. And why should you let other people know about what's going on with you? One, if you're having some sort of medical issue, you should let somebody know and try to find the help that you need to actually get through it. But also, the people who care about you, and they don't even have to be people that you necessarily know. There are probably people out there who care about you. If you have a business on Facebook or on some other media platform, that want to know what's going on with you and want to know how they can help. So one, if something matters to you, it's important. Now, I also remember growing up in St. Thomas. I remember when I didn't even have my period this day. There was just a pad that was visible in a pocket of my backpack, and a an older student was like, "Oh, Mahlena, you," and she wanted me to cover it up. Now, it was not used. It was just there in case, my period came in the next couple of weeks. But she was so embarrassed for me to acknowledge that, oh, I carry pads in my bag for a phenomenon that happens to women of a certain age for 50 or 60 years of their lives in some case, every month. And I was supposed to be embarrassed and hide it away because someone else might see that a high school student was going through menstruation, and because it was so shameful, and so many people are still afraid of it. And it matters to me that I am prepared for different things. And now I realize that a lot of that shame was because it's female, and a lot of things that are very female focused, like the concept of having babies, which is what a period is all about, is discussed and dissected by men, often older white men in Congress, because they think that, well, it's female, so something's wrong with it, we have to do something about it, instead of actually acknowledging that women should be talking about this with other women and their medical professionals. And it is important, and having something that's important to you, whether it's CRAMPS or PMS or just, the concept of having your own business, it's important. Some people won't get it. Some people will be really weirded out about it, both men and women, the concept of you wanting to make money in a way that is not about being an employee, and they're not going to get it. But if it matters to you, if this is something that you want to do, if something is important to you, whether it's a hobby or a person or a way of life, then it's important. It doesn't matter what other people that you may know or may not know, or just strangers coming up to you on the street talking to you say. It's about what you think. So if having a business and wanting to move forward in your career and wanting to build your business is important, then if it's important to you and if it matters to you, it's important. So second, the specific is universal. So this is a really specific thing, period pain. And shockingly, I have not seen it discussed in a healthy or constructive way in a TV show or a movie. Yet I have to hear all these comedians who are men talk about their penises all the time, and fellatio, and what about Viagra, and a lot of that stuff is like, I don't really need to know about it, but I hear about it constantly. I don't hear about women letting other women know this is how you can deal with things that happen to women every day all around the world in a constructive manner. There actually is a group that I'm in on Facebook that allows us to talk about things that are specific to women. It was an offshoot of another group because we wanted a safe space away from this other group, which is still fine, but it was not very receptive to women's issues. So there are a couple of places, or a few places, where I can talk about women's stuff in specific. And the specific topic of cramps is a universal thing. Over 50% of the planet will probably encounter their own cramps or a parent's cramps, because people are not born by eggs yet. They come out of women. And this is something that they should know about. So if something is specific to you and you think no one else wants to know about it, no one else wants to hear about my rose garden, no one else wants to hear about how difficult it can be to be a woman sailor in the America's Cup, or how hard it is to be a golfer and getting an outfit that looks cool on you and is the right size if you're a lady, that sort of specific thing is something that there are so many other people out there thinking about, but they can't necessarily put it into words until you say it. So you need to say your thing in a way that works for you and that you feel safe, because other people are probably looking for the specific thing that you have to say. And three, I wrote it down, your people will choose to understand. So this is something that I learned more about or realized more about after getting involved in more Facebook groups and being a stand-up comedian for a few months to a year back in 2010 and 2011, that stand-up comedy is very male-dominated, as are many business industries. And there are people who did not understand my jokes, and they're like, what does that even mean? Like, I told this joke about California being part of Mexico because it was, and why would someone expect people to speak English in a state that used to be part of Mexico, which was taken over by Spain? And there were mostly white people there, and they're like, I don't. So let's talk about fart jokes. They're like, yay! But those weren't my people. So now I can talk about lots of stuff on Facebook, and not all my Facebook friends are going to understand. Lots of my family members don't even understand the stuff that I'm talking about, like white women tears, or the need for more shows by W. Kamau Bell, or the fact that I liked Harry Kondobalu's latest stand-up special, or what else have I talked about? Being a parent. Not everybody's a parent, but the people who choose to understand are your people. The people who choose not to understand, regardless of whether they have all the stuff in common with you, those aren't your people if they don't want to understand you, if they don't want to help you, and if they just, not so much that they don't know what to say, but are just like, I don't even want to bother because I'm offended by something, or you just rub me the wrong way. There are people out there who will choose to understand, and those are your people. You don't have to worry about the other people out there who are just like, that's just so weird, I hate that. Just focus on telling your message to your people, and then your people will start to respond and find you. So again, cramps, sometimes it's hard having cramps, but especially if you have a person who cares about you, whether it's your spouse or someone else important in your life, let them know that you're in pain and that you want them to help. Because if you don't tell them that you're in pain, they might not know. And the specific is universal. The thing that means so much to you is going to mean so much else to somebody. They might not even know it yet. So share your story and your message, and your people will find you, and they will choose to understand. And that's something I had to figure out too, especially through dating and through this business project journey. It takes a lot to get the people, and not everybody wants to buy my stuff, but they seem entertained by it. So yay! All right. As I always remember to end this, if you have a comment and you're on Facebook, leave it in the comments. If you're not on Facebook and watching this, then send me an email at 4nerdygirls@gmail.com. That's 4nerdygirls@gmail.com. And if you are ready to learn more about personal branding one-on-one with me, or you want your networking strategy session, which is also in the description, then email me at 4nerdygirls.com. You'll be talking, I'll be writing down. We'll figure out a plan for you to implement immediately so you can meet people to make money. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.